Unit 4, page 180 to 183. King Philip's War, Chapter 39. Massasoit was a friend of the English colonists. The first New England settlers might not have survived without his help, and they knew it. Once, when he seemed near death, a group of settlers came from Plymouth with goose soup and a broth made from the root of the sassafras tree. Massasoit got better. Massasoit's people, the Wampanoags, were hunters and fishermen and farmers whose lives turned with the cycle of the season. They were peaceful people and good neighbors. When some pilgrims visited his village, Massasoit honored them by letting them spend the night on a plank bed with himself, his wife, and 2 of his chiefs. A year after the pilgrims arrived, I'm at the top page 181, Massasoit signed a treaty of peace with them. For more than 50 years, while he lived, there was peace in Massachusetts. But even before he died, there were some, Indians and English, who saw trouble ahead. Mostly it was because there were so many angry English men and women. At first, there had only been a few of these newcomers, but soon they were pushing the natives off the land. Massasoit's 2 sons were troubled. Their generation was different from that of their father. They were not awed by the English, as their fathers sometimes seemed. The 2 boys were Wamsuta and Metacom, but Massasoit had asked the General Court in Plymouth to give them English names. So they were named for ancient kings of Greece, Alexander and Philip. When his father died, Wamsuta Alexander became the ruler. Some Englishmen feared him. They sent troops, dragged him to Plymouth, threatened him, and acted haughty and superior. Alexander became ill and died on his way home. Metacom Philip was now leader of his people. He believed the English had killed his brother and wanted revenge. Besides, Metacom saw that the new people were destroying his land. The English now called him King Philip. Some meant it respectfully, but others were mocking him when they used the title. And so Metacom began visiting other Indian leaders, trying to convince them to join him to fight the English and drive them from America. That wasn't easy. There was no history of Indian unity. The Indian peoples were as different from each other as Swedes are from Spaniards or Chinese from Pakistans. They were descendants from different peoples who came in different ways of immigration over the Bering Strait. Metacom wasn't ready when war began. As with many wars, it was really an accident that started things. A Christian Indian named John Sassamon was killed. Sassamon had been to Harvard and was a friend of the Plymouth colonists. Today, no one is sure who killed him, but the English executed 3 members of Metacom's tribe for the murder. Metacom was furious. He attacked for revenge. Top of page 182. King Philip's War had begun. It was fought off and on for 2 years, 1675 and 1676, and it was horrible. If you have read about Indian wars with scalpings, torched villages, tomahawks, and war whoops, you may have been reading about this war. Both sides were incredibly brutal. 600 colonists lost their lives in King Philip's War. 3,000 Indians lost theirs. 50 of the 90 English villages were attacked. Many were burned to the ground. The peaceful Narragansett Indians, who had nothing to do with the war, were massacred on their own land in Rhode Island because some of the settlers now feared all Indians. Many innocent white people were killed in Indian raids of revenge. Indian disunity hurt their cause. Some tribes helped the English. In addition, Indian warriors weren't used to long wars. They knew how to attack and destroy in quick raids. When the war went on and on, many Indians got tired of it. They wanted to plant their crops and get back to normal activities. They deserted their leader. Finally, Metacom was trapped in a swamp, and he was killed by an Indian who was loyal to the colonists. Metacom's head was chopped off and hung on the fort at Plymouth. There it stayed for 25 years. His wife, children, and other captured Indians were sold in the West Indies as slaves. It was a pattern that was repeated over and over again until the Indians could fight no more. Top of page 183, Civilization in Conflict. At the very time the Metacon was fighting to free his land from the English invaders, thousands of miles across the continent, in a place the Spaniards called New Mexico, the Pueblo Indians were preparing for the same kind of fight. The people of the Pueblos have seen their land invaded by Spanish men and women. The Spanish live in missions. The missions are small farms built around a church. Sometimes soldiers live nearby in forts called presidios. Sometimes the missions and the presidio are combined. Indians live in the missions and do most of the farming and building. The Indians are forced to grow crops for the Spaniards, to pay them taxes, to clean their houses, to do their heavy work. The Spaniards considered it their duty to convert Indians to Christianity. They called the Indian religion evil. The Spanish priests are determined to destroy the old Indian ways. The Pueblo Indians pretend to do as the Spaniards wish, but secretly they keep the old ways. When the Spaniards find out, they round up the Indian religious leaders. 4 are hanged in the big plaza in the town called Santa Fe, and the others are whipped and thrown in a dungeon. An Indian leader and medicine man named Pope carefully plans how to drive the enemy from his country. He unites the various Pueblo peoples. He even gets the Apache, his people's ancient enemy, to agree to help. In August 1680, the Indians attack, burning, killing, and destroying. By nightfall, only 2 Spanish communities are left, Santa Fe and Isleta. Pope gives the Spanish governor a choice. He can stay in Santa Fe and starve, or he can leave the land and take his people with him. The Spaniards leave, all of them. They march away, back to Mexico. But the leaders in Spain and Mexico don't give up easily. They will be back. The Spaniards and the Pueblo Indians will do the same thing that Englishmen and East Coast Indians are doing. They will fight, steal, trade, make peace, and misunderstand each other. These civilizations are in conflict.